Bam! What is up with the squad? It's your favorite Auntie with Uncle Tendencies in the building. I got the truth teller in the building. Political Lil, what's happening, fam?
What's up?
Oh man, we getting to the truth around here. Coming in the door, y'all. Hope y'all had a chance to check out our coaches segment, Dismissed by Design. We're gonna have a conversation about that video. We got a new series coming up. We're gonna break down the CBA, so just be on the lookout for the content. We appreciate the support. We appreciate y'all pulling up, coming in the door. Hit the like and the share. Hit the like and the share because they both right there. Let them know we in this thing. Like and share. They both right there. And then we got some all-star stuff coming up later. So let's get into this. Let's knock down the myths so we can get to the fun stuff later on today. So let's just jump into it. I think this conversation started because, well, Leo had already kind of been talking about, what was going on with the coaching, but then we saw the lawsuit get filed, and it was like, oh shoot, this is what we've been talking about. Here it go. So we thought, why not talk about it? So let's get into it. We diving deep into this one. Y'all know it's always bigger than basketball with us. And this combo right here was lit up by the civil rights lawsuit filed by Nikki Blue against the Phoenix Mercury, and we got to be real about what's going on here. It's not just about her, right? It's about the systemic erasure of Black women in leadership across sports. So Coach Teaspoon's firing, the media silence when Black women get pushed out, that coded language, the doors quietly closing. This ain't new. This is dismissed by design. We're watching a coordinated rollback in real time. It's not just individual moments. It's a whole pattern, a whole playbook. It goes back decades to the same resistance Black women leaders faced even after the Civil Rights Act. So in 2025, we're still being told loud or quiet that we're not allowed to coach, not allowed to lead, and not allowed to win. But guess what? We don't fold. We document, we organize, and we talk about it right here. So let's set it off. I'm bringing in my co-host, of course, the truth sniper, my power checking co-host who also brings the heat, Political Lil from BWISE PoliSports Podcast. Be on the lookout for that page dropping here soon. Lil, let's lay it out. What's really behind this wave of targeting and erasure when it comes to Black women in sports leadership? So let's start it off with the truth that they never want to televise. Nikki Blue is a former interim coach for the Phoenix Mercury, for those of y'all that don't know. And I ain't just telling her story. She sounded an alarm. She filed a federal civil rights lawsuit against the Mercury. And let's be crystal clear. This ain't no she didn't do her job complaint. This is a blueprint exposed. She got handed a depleted roster, no real resources, and then they replaced her before she could even finish the mission. And I look at Phoenix now. Goodness gracious. Now add Teresa Weatherspoon to that list. Teaspoon, Black icon in the game. While her team was heating up, they traded her top scorer mid-season, tanked the momentum, and then blamed her when they didn't make the playoff. She didn't fail. The system failed her by design. None of this is random. None of this is accidental. We're calling it what it is. They set us up to fail because that's exactly what's happening. And it's what always happened behind closed doors, whispered in the locker room, coaching groups, media circles where Black women speak the truth about each other. It's a pattern. Minimal resources, hostile environments, media narratives preloaded to justify their removal. And we're putting the legal terms on the table tonight. Disparate impact. That's when neutral policies hit us harder in practice. Disparate treatment. When they treat us differently while we do the same job. Hostile climate. When a workplace is set up for tension, not trust. Collusion. When ownership, front office, and media all play parts in framing the fall. This ain't just about two coaches. This is about the structure. The structure is crafty. Lil, let's break down how these systems operate. Who benefits from keeping Black women out of power?
Ownership, because everything is about it's about control, and it's about providing opportunities for those who don't deserve it. I mean, you look in the case of Phoenix. This guy comes in. He's never coached in the league. Certainly hadn't played in it. And he's been connected to being an assistant in the NBA. So he had no real, head coaching experience. And he never has any kind of record of coaching women. Mm-hmm. Yet he's given an opportunity. And sure, he's having success. But who's to say if I had inherited that roster and I could have came out the stand, I'd probably be successful too, because you inherited a bunch of elite players.
What? He about to add DeWanna Bonner. I'll sign up for that job.
Yeah, anytime. And so what happens is when it's a white male, particularly, that owner makes sure his boy is gonna succeed by giving him all the ammunition he needs to shoot. You know, but when everything raggedy, falling apart, that's when they'll give something to a black person, whether it be male or female. Because you look at the presidency of Obama. He came in there when the place was near collapse. That's the only reason he got he got the position, because the place was about to fall apart and they needed a global face, to put on that stink, and then somebody to be positioned where they know they wouldn't prosecute none of the people that had robbed the whole world, of their assets. This is what power does. Mm-hmm. And they particularly do that to black women. When you look at this young lady having had the head coach was fired in the Mercury case, and so she had to take over, and try to rebuild something to get a few wins, out of the thing. And then when it's time to, okay, I got the reins now, I can go into a full rebuild. Then it's now we're gonna dust you off, brush you off to the side, after we done set you up for failure. And if you can't see that a clear case of setup occurred with Teaspoon, you just got blinders on. I mean, that was a clear setup.
when we talk about them coaching dismissals, Blue, from Nikki Blue, especially Teaspoon now, what signs should we be paying attention to show us that this is about more than just performance? Black male coaches too. Mark Jackson, Brian Flores. Oh, Mark signed his own death certificate. Mark did it to himself, FN. He's a one-off. He's a one-off. He's a one-off. That's a whole nother conversation. We could have it, but Mark, he didn't do himself any justice. He didn't do himself any justice.
Bringing religion into the workplace, that's kind of not
it was doomed from there. And then they had an LGBTQ friendly front office with allies and LGBTQ people. And then I don't know if y'all know, but I know that there's some LGBTQ people in these locker rooms, whether they out or not. So for you to make a statement in Oakland, next to San Francisco, one of the most liberal places in the world, to say what you wouldn't never have in your locker room. Oh gosh, no. Oh no. They packed this desk up that night. He just didn't know.
Mm-hmm. And you have to be.
You can't say that. You can't. Not there. Even if that's how you feel. Even if that's your belief. And I'm not saying that can't be his belief. That's his religion. He's very religious. He posts. Hey, stay true to who you are, but you can't make that statement there and think that they're gonna keep you around. Yeah, that's a new conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But Lil, what should we be paying attention to in these situations?
Well, first of all, you gotta look at what the person is handed. When these teams are performing below expectations, or they're failing, they're having a large amount of failure, losses, and this, that, and the other, then you gotta look at that next hire. Okay, you're gonna hire somebody, that can draw something in. I mean, the Teaspoon thing was just so perfect, because they hired her trying to keep an elite player, but they also, brung her on after no one would take the job, probably under the conditions that they established. And then I'm sure they didn't tell her that I'm gonna give you a raggedy roster, a couple of we're gonna get some draft you some rookies. Then we're gonna give you some hell-raising veterans, to keep your locker room, bottled up and confused. But what they don't get is support. That's the main thing. They do not get the proper support, and they don't get time to build. It's either put the damn mansion up now or see you later. That's just the way it goes.
Oh, okay. I want to, because I think you're talking about how black female coaches are handled when they come in, right? For the sisters, right? And they don't get the resources. So what I want to really take a deep dive into Teaspoon real quick, because she took your broke down establishment and put some bubblegum and duct tape on it and had propped that thing up, as my homegirl would say. Bubblegum and duct tape, and had this thing almost in the playoffs, and it still wasn't good enough. Why? See, that's the piece that I don't get. Okay, now if you say, hey, it failed, that's fine, but she did better than you expected her to do. And in the case of Teaspoon, I just feel like it was really a setup. I feel like it was more. I felt like they used her to sell Angel. I feel like they used her to sell Angel, and then once Angel was sold, it didn't matter what they did with Teaspoon, and that was, I may be a little biased in the situation, but that's how I feel.
Yeah, it's just like this. You going into a draft with a depleted roster. You're not gonna have elite players knocking down your door, because number one, you don't already have anything to offer them in the first place in terms of infrastructure and anything, in terms of player development. And that's why your good players have left the franchise. But you absolutely sold Angel Reese. Now, nobody could have predicted, what Angel Reese would do in her freshman year, but she certainly came out for Teaspoon in a way I don't know if she would have came out for any other coach. It was something about the Teaspoon connection to Mulkey and the success she had with Mulkey that made her trust Teaspoon, without question, and then perform for her, at a high, very high level, for somebody just coming in. And a lot of people had doubted, but behind the scenes, it was to me, there was no intent to ever keep Teaspoon, and they had to do 100%. everything they could. Once Angel and Camilla locked in as the cornerstone, they was do everything they could to get rid of her, and it was the perfect sabotage job. They sabotaged her to the point where I feel she was discriminated against, and I certainly would advise her to seek a lawsuit, because she should be kept, compensated. I mean, Nadia called her out the blue, so to speak. Let's get somebody in here that players respected, and then you turn around and lie and say that vets didn't respect her. That's garbage. What she did, and it was a validation of what she did in Unrivaled, when she successfully got those girls, those veterans, to come out of nowhere and get to a championship game, and be competitive. So, not
only that, Lil, look at how successful all of those ladies are that played on that team. How well they're playing this.
Exactly. Exactly. That's another thing you got to consider. So she instilled something in them that made them, trust her, believe in her, and confide in her. I'm sure, with things that they may have been going through, and ways they wanted to improve what they were doing, but I will never, ever, I don't care how much success Chicago has, I will never, ever forgive them for that openly disrespectful way that they treated her and then trashed her. And I'm not going to sit here for no player on the team or nothing like that and wish somebody success that would do that, because that's not only emotionally damaging, but that's a long-term stain. That woman may never come back to the league after being done, publicly humiliated like that. And you're beginning to see that tactic of humiliation, going on even when you look at the NFL draft. So they just, these sport leagues, they something else.
I mean, you're a commodity. You are a commodity. You are a product. Like, you definitely have to come in with. You got to come in with thick skin. You know what I mean? You definitely got to come in with thick skin. Key highlight. What's good? Brass tacks. What's happening? KB. What's happening? FM was good. So yeah, run them likes up for us. I need everybody hit the like and the share. They both right there. 5 of y'all share this thing out. Please share it in the chat for us. How do the legal terms, though, Lil, disparate treatment, hostile climate, help us understand what's really happening behind the closed doors in WNBA leadership? How does that help us understand that?
You know what, they expose the structure. Like I said, disparate treatment, that shows how Black women are judged by a different standard. And hostile climate, that's when you know, your workplace becomes unlivable. And these are things that happen across all industries. Mm-hmm. And it's not always through direct words. Sometimes it's through isolation, just the lack of the support, and then, of course, coded disrespect like they did in the case of Teaspoon. But those are actionable legal terms, that you can build a case with. But of course, a lot of people, they don't really understand them. And I'm not an attorney. I have worked some employment cases before, and one federal case I worked helping a young lady put together her discrimination case. Now I learned a lot, and it's it's hard to see. So you have to think about the action and then the impact, and then how this floats down the line.
Oh, listen, it's plenty of times I think I felt like my sexual orientation, being a member of the LGBTQ community, has caused me to miss some opportunities at work. But how you prove that? You can't really prove that. It's a look, it's a feel, it's a know, it's a how they treat you in the office. Like that's hard to prove, right? And they make it hard to prove because they know they be on that bullshit with it. But you work around it, I guess. But back to this one. According to the filing, Nikki Blue had the credentials, she had the composure, she had the coaching IQ, but she would never take it seriously. Never empowered and never given the runway to even really make her case for the job. So the kicker is that she's being repped by Mesador, I hope I'm saying that right, or Mesador PLLC, a rising force in civil rights litigation that's turning up the pressure in the sports justice lane. So this lawsuit it's not just about Nikki, it's a warning shot, a signal to every institution that's been treating Black women like placeholders instead of power brokers. Because we do systems talk here on PoliSports Tea Time, so we don't zoom out because this lawsuit's not in a vacuum. It's part of a cultural rollback. The post 2020 reformed and DI era coming undone. So all that equity talk now viewed as liability. All that inclusion they was talking about, that they erasing that. And so we witnessing a strategic removal of Black women from leadership spaces under disguise of fit and performance. But let's call it what it is. Lil is sabotage disguised as a strategy. You hand a Black woman a broken roster, no resources, no support, and then critique the results. Like, what chance did she have anyway? What chance did she have anyway? That's like, trying to watch somebody, eat soup with no spoon. You're not going to ever be able to eat the soup. That's not coaching failure. That's organizational cowardice. Go ahead.
Yeah, when you think about it, with this teaspoon firing, everybody's talking about, well, Jeff, he hadn't had a chance. You knew damn well you was going to hire Jeff to be the GM. You knew that years ago. But and that's why I say she was set up. So why wasn't he aboard when she came? Mm-hmm. Or why did you not allow him to pick his coach? You know why? Because then nobody wanted to coach that damn team. Nobody wanted to come to the organization. You only had one other person even apply. So what you did was you set Jeff back. Well, we'll bring you on after we bring home, in case we have to get rid of. See, that's already a pre-planned strategy to erase somebody, get rid of somebody, and then, have the public thinking, well, the GM usually come on first and he hires the coach that he wants and all that kind of bull. I don't want to hear that. He was in the organization before Teaspoon got there, and he knew damn well they were going to hire her. So it wasn't like, oh, I didn't get an opportunity because Johnny came lately. You and the boss and Nadia knew damn well that you all was setting her up for failure in the event things didn't, come out the way you wanted, or that she wasn't able to attract who you wanted. and that's a money maker. So it's always games being played, which is unnecessary. And then for you not to sit up there, you could have just told her, look, I got an opportunity for you to punch your ticket, get a little time as a head coach, nothing permanent. You know, we'll do a 1 year deal. I couldn't get nobody else. Be honest. And then she could make a choice to say, hey, I'm gonna come get this little experience. I'll roll with it. And I won't set myself up for hurt and pain in the event that things don't work out. But instead, you slicker, you go behind the back, and then you want somebody to respect you. Can't respect a person like that, because you're not being honest when you could have just told her that it wasn't, I give you this opportunity to get you a little time in so you could say you've been a head coach. But we ain't making no, real promises because we still trying to regroup. Whatever. I'm talking about Nadia, and I'm not talking about Mr. Alder and the GM. I'm talking about another Black female who was in a position of control to turn around and do this to a woman like that. I don't even know what to say.
Oh, you can't see no good come from this. Can't see no good come from this. So what stands out to you about the way Nikki Blue's case has been framed? I mean, I don't even know what to say about Nadia except can't no good come from it. My gramps used to say you can't criticize what you perpetuate. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I don't even know. It ain't no good coming from it.
Yeah, but and remember the parable of the two ditches. Always remember that. You dig a ditch for somebody, make sure you dig two, because God gonna make sure you get in one. Why you try to put somebody else in one? And that it's gonna be a lot of surprises.
Yeah, her exit will be interesting. It's gonna be interesting to watch how their relationship continues or how that fallout shakes out. But what how important is it that this law firm is stepping into the sports world, and does this signal something bigger for us in accountability, legal accountability in sports?
Well, let me answer that first question. They framed Nikki as interim and disposable, and even after she had a little success, this shows how Black women are often given temporary roles, but not long-term trust. So
good point. I'm glad you circled back to that.
Yeah, we used to stabilize the chaos, but then we're not allowed to leave beyond the crisis. So she came in, stabilized their situation, and then when it came to do the rebuild, well, we don't need you no more, But how they're framing it at the law firm, I think it's gonna be a game changer, because when civil rights firms start entering sports, it's gonna shift the power. Players and coaches, they're not just temporary employees, they have legal rights. And so that firm, being a civil rights firm, coming in, that signals the start of some reckoning and how these sport leagues are going to be allowed to operate behind closed doors. Because they run the sports industry exactly like a plantation. You can't hardly tell the difference, except for there's a few peanuts. But more, I'll say more of a sharecropping model, because it's still a little bit of change, being exchanged. But
exactly,
they get away with a lot of stuff, and they hide under certain aspects of the law.
Absolutely.
They claim they're not set up as monopolies. They're not supposed to be set up as monopolies, but they actually are. You don't. The WNBA, you don't have no competing league with them in this country. And the same thing with the NBA, the NFL. In the NFL, they shoot down anybody trying to put together a new league.
They have what they got. Well, yeah, not at the same time. You're not gonna play at the same time that they do. You can play in the off season. They can
get you some variations.
Oh, you say nothing will change. Hey, Gamecocks fan, what's good? nothing will change. It's their league. You play by their rules. But what does it mean? And I hear you on you've been fortunate enough to have never worked for anyone in your life. That's important. I don't know that people understand how possible that is. It's possible to not work for anybody in your life. Mind state of mind, your mind frame, and your approach to stuff. It's hard work. It ain't easy. But you can make it happen. But how important is it that this law firm is jumping into this, Lil?
It's crucial because you have somebody that's experienced, knows the in and outs of the law that was created to promote fairness. And let me just say, every corporation out here is their own. And anytime you go to work, it's a free will, type of situation. But that don't mean you can abuse labor. And that's what the labor struggle since the 1930s was all about, because they were abusing labor. You have to remember, athletes are a labor force. And so they're to be treated under Title VII, just like everybody else. Just because you choose to work somewhere don't mean you got to sit there and be abused, used, and mistreated. That's
so I got a question. I got a question about the labor force thing, because the NFL players specifically, I have heard really refer to themselves as independent contractors. And does that still fall in that labor force, or is that a labeling to keep them from being able to be liable? If that because sometimes they label you so that they're not liable, if that makes sense.
That's a good question for an attorney, because I really don't know too much about the NFL.
And if somebody in the chat know, let me know.
But let me say this about an independent contractor. You can't tell an independent contractor a damn thing. All you can do is give them an assignment. You can't tell them when to show up for work. That means you can't control when they come to practice. That's not happening in the NFL. They have practice at a certain time. You better have your ass there. You can't tell them what to charge for their services. They make a price, you pay it. There's in the NFL, there's receivers make so much, quarterbacks make so much. There's a market standard for what they make. You are not obligated to provide medical services for people who are not your employee. They provide medical services for them. In the case of the WNBA, they even provide housing for those ladies. And you don't have to do that for independent contractors. Like if you have a plumber coming to your house, he come there to do a job. You give him his $80, he check it out, tell you how much it costs, and you don't tell him what time he got to be there. You give him some times he can be there, but you can't make him come there at that time. If you are an employee, they tell you to be there at 8 o'clock, and you show up at 9, then you probably won't be there.
It's a violation. Long. Definitely an occurrence.
So yes, they have some employee structure. Now it's a little from a little research I've done, they structured, just a little bit different, but they still fall under labor laws. Okay. And you if you under labor laws, then you considered a employee. It's not a free for all. I've worked as both an employee and an independent contractor. And as an independent contractor, I get there when I get there. I do the work when I do the work, and I'll leave when I want to. That's what independence is. Now you can be a contracted employee, and as a contracted employee, I could tell you, come here at 9, leave at 5. Have that type of control. I could offer you some medical help. I could do your take out your taxes and stuff like that. So, and they probably take it out their taxes, but you don't have the independent mean, you independently work. You're not a controlled worker. When you're an employee, you're a controlled worker. It's the who, what, when, and why. That's the best way I can explain it without being an attorney who's deep into
and if y'all have stuff to add, let us know. let's see, cultural change takes generations. They have too much control. Thinking the changes that AI ushered into the league, all of the criticisms he endured for those youngins to rock cornrows and tats today, and whatever they want to wear, all that.
Yeah, but it just took a crown law for you to stop, having a authority to punish them on wearing dreadlock.
Exactly. The books need to be investigated. Yeah, the books need to be investigated. No business continues to operate in the red for years with no profit. Someone is lying. Corporate taking all the money and ripping the players off.
Yeah, they especially in the WNBA, because let me tell you something. People keep talking about, it's a tax write-off. Let me tell you something about the IRS. The IRS is not going to let you float around here talking about no tax write-off. You are expected to do activities that lead towards you being a profitable business. They're not going to let you. It's not a plaything. They're not going to let you just write off a toy. That's not happening. That's how you get investigated. When you sit up here, looking like
you don't think some of them use these teams as losses, as a loss to add into what they put into their taxes? That's what I think.
I don't. I think they are set up as legitimate businesses.
Oh yeah,
and that they have to show on their book. Like for instance, okay, I'm not gonna sell no tickets. I'm gonna get all the damn tickets away, $20,000 a night, so I can write off a loss. The IRS not gonna let you do that.
No.
Because the bottom line
I think they fixed their books where it make it look like they did spent more than they did made.
Oh,
that's what I think they do.
Yeah,
they make it look like they I'm doing all I can, but I'm always in the red. That's what I think they do. Let's see.
Cook the books.
Where them fans at? Penelope was good. Let's that labeling came after the whole CTE lawsuit, talking about independent contractors. How many generations? America's 250 years old, and black people's status the same. We talk of sports, lawsuits can change that. You speaking of society, those changes require bloodshed. This is not. Oh yeah, that's not internet conversation. No, we're not. Yeah, we're talking about lawsuits. Lawsuits. We at that level. But let's talk about the disrespectful dismissal of a true WNBA icon, Teresa Weatherspoon. Teaspoon, legend, leader, lifeline to the culture. Took the reins in Chicago, Lil, thinking she was stepping into building something, not just a season. Like, and it bothered me so much because I felt the excitement that she felt. Like I told you, I called it out. When she got up and did that double dap after they had got Angel and Camilla, it was like, oh, it's on now. Like she thought this. She genuinely thought that she had the keys and the opportunity to build something.
Let me ask you something right quick, Seth. And ask the audience. How many of y'all, I watched that draft thing with Teaspoon hundreds of times. I mean, it was so entertaining. Watched every aspect of it. But how many people watch Jeff and Marshmallow do the draft this year? I didn't watch it at all.
I don't even remember. I don't.
And so you're right. There was excitement in the city. There was excitement among black women. There was excitement. We thought it was getting ready to be on and popping. We had a black woman in the ownership equation, and you had a black coach, and you had these new black players. I mean, just coming off of college championships. We was ready to rock and roll. And to show you how sneaky they was, they tripled the price of those season tickets and sold them at a time when they still had Teaspoon. Then no sooner than they got the final payment in, because I think you pay a deposit and then your final payment. That's when they pulled the rug on her. And I just felt like that was so deceitful and underhand, and it just tells me a lot about the people that's running that front office. And then when some of these players start opening up about about some of the things going on, I was like, oh yeah, they very much different than Chicago, very much different.
So, speaking of what was going on in Chicago, do you feel like what happened with Teaspoon could fall under that constructive discharge or retaliation under Title VII?
Oh, yes. And I say that because the working conditions are so sabotaged and hostile that the person was, effectively forced out. Even though she was terminated, she was forced out. And you could definitely probably make a case, that the treatment and the way that whole situation, went down was discriminatory in nature. And I said that from the beginning, even before I kind of researched, a little bit about this lawsuit. She was isolated. And remember, I think you and I first connected on the fact that she wasn't at the All-Star game. That just really...
Yeah, you pointed that out. I had no idea. When you told me that the owners was there, it was like, wow. What we...
Yeah, and having meetings with Angel and this, that, and the other.
Yeah, she was talking to Angel on the FaceTime right after.
Yeah, and then Angel come out the meeting talking about she the little GM or junior GM in training and all this kind of shit. So all the time they was gaslighting her, but they knew they was getting ready to eliminate her from the picture because either Reese was too close to Teaspoon and they want control of her. See, everything comes down to control, and the way I see it. So, we want to control our commodities, and we don't want other people to have influence over them. You really don't know. But when I look at how it kind of played out, that's what I think. They didn't want her and Reese building something. They wanted Reese and them to be the builders, if you will, kind of something like that. Especially when you look at who they hired, a dude that positions himself as a puppet and so soft.
It's always divide and conquer. You might show up as a singing. You might show up as a singing group. Then all they want is the lead singer.
Yeah, stuff like that.
We can make you a solo act. You're gonna be hot. You can be by yourself. Junior walk in the All-Star, Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, David Ruffin. What's their name? You know what I mean? They come just like that.
Yeah.
Think about Ruthless Records. Think about the power of Ruthless Records and Eazy-E and Dr. Dre and those young men building that record label at that time, especially at that time, what it was. And you had Jerry Eller coming there. And once Jerry got in there, man, it was chaos. It was chaos. Once Jerry got in there, it was chaos, man. It was divide and conquer. It was like you didn't need them pitting people against each other.
Yeah, they take the collaboration element out.
Yeah,
you don't become a collaborator. You become a competitor. Because Eazy started competing with the guys instead of collaborating. The way they started.
Oh man, well, Jerry was steady pushing Eazy. To me, Jerry, they find a way to insulate. He insulated Eazy from the rest of the guys. He wasn't hanging with the guys. When the guys was hanging after the show, Eazy needed to be at the meet. Eazy needed to go eat with Jerry. They needed to talk about things. So it was a divide. It's always a divide and conquer. Then it was, he was further and further away from the guys. It just was really weird. But it happens like that. You see it happen like that all the time. Why do you think Black women coaches are rarely given the grace to grow or fail forward the way other coaches are? I'm asking that to the audience. Y'all let me know. Black women are not given opportunity because of what Political Lil is talking about. Can't have too many black women together in a position of power. But why not?
They see it as a threat. It's not a threat at all.
Oh my gosh! I mean, black women been keeping things together forever, raising their kids, your kids, my kids, everybody's kids, taking care of your house, their house, that's in them house.
They always had dual roles, even on the plantation. You was taking care of the white family, black family, and working out in the field. So they always been multitasking.
Always got to come home and take the meat out too before they cook dinner. Ain't nobody gonna take nothing out. Got to do it all. Shows up the same way in sports, church, schools, etc. Because whites are supposed to be in control. Same issues. But okay. What's crazy is that I run into people who don't even believe that. So that's the thing. I keep wondering, who is these whites that they keep asking? Because the whites I be talking to, they don't talk like that. So that's the mind control thing. That's the pitting us against each other. People are more closer in thought about taking care of their person, their family, their legacy. People are more closer in thought and desire than the media or anybody will have you think. Everybody want to take care of their family. Everybody want to take care of their household. Everybody want to live in a safe environment. Everybody want to have an opportunity to be the very damn best that they can be.
Mm-hmm.
It's why the owners were not going to allow Candace to own a team. Let's see if they let Dawn Money in there. I'm with you, Gamecocks. That's the one I'm watching. That's the one I'm watching. When she pull out her credit card, if they don't swipe it, then I know what it is. When she pull out her credit card, if they don't swipe it, I know what it is. Because you can't tell me a reason why not her. You can't even really tell me a reason why not Candace, but I digress. How long have we been on? We've been up here about 42 minutes. About 42 minutes. If Dawn comes in, she won't be a majority owner. So, what? Here's the thing. I don't need her to be I don't need her to be a majority owner. What I need her to be is the leader of a black majority group.
Mm-hmm.
A black majority group, like Candace. I'm with you with the summit, and I understand you got to be able to build a network, and your net worth, but. And I appreciate, I listen. Don't get me wrong. I like Tim and Faith. Tim McGraw, Faith. I like the Mannings. I like them. Tim, one of my favorite country singers. Probably sing my favorite country song. Faith, I like her too. Peyton, like him too. I do. But I want people to understand, and the only way that people can understand is that we show them that black people can't get together and put together $250 million in investment money. When I was so irritated, I can't even remember who typed that shit back. I was livid. We put the video up and they said, you do know that they would have had to come up with $250 million. So stop acting like the black dollar. We don't have a powerful spending dollar out here, man. Do your research. We can't come up with $250 million.
And that wasn't the reason why they wasn't selected. It had nothing to do with money, and they made that clear.
But I need for y'all to push back on the narrative that a group of black people can't come up with $250 million. Push back on that bullshit. They already did. Kathy didn't take their calls from the Oakland team. Instead, let Joe Lacob get it. Yep. Marshawn had money in Oakland. Marshawn had money in Oakland. Black money. Real black money. Cause he a real black man. You see, I got my beast mode hat on today. He don't play around. Take care of your mentals, your chicken, and your physical. But that's what I want to see. That's what people need to see. That's what they don't want us to see. Man, typed in the comment. Well, you do know they needed to. So what?
Yeah, that was crazy. I was like, they had nothing to do with the selection.
Oprah around here with billions, right? With an S. That's just one black person. Bill Cosby woke up and he was going to just, some of us get up and go get a Slurpee. This Bill Cosby woke up and was going to go buy NBC. He was like, I don't know, get dressed today and go on down and just pick up NBC. And I don't know if he was going to bring it back in his car or what. Stop playing like the money ain't out there. But let's go ahead and name what they've been trying to keep off the record books and the spotlight. We calling this one the Vanishing Act. Not long ago, it looked like the WNBA was finally making big moves. 6 black women head coaches in the 12-team league. Oh, representation on the rise. You know what I'm saying? That was proof of progress. Then the window slammed shut with the quick. He looked around. Noelle was by herself. And
quick, too.
You know, if you ever been the only one or two. You know, I was in a lot of AP classes, going through school. Um, it's me, and then him, and they always want us to work together. They always think we got the same type of lifestyle. Me and just one other black person in the class, a 33, 62, whatever. Just me and him. I can't relate to him at all. I don't relate to him at all. Don't make that assumption. But you're going to group us together because we look the same. I don't like that. Let me see. Fact says, best believe the minute NBA gets a team in Las Vegas, Brian and this crew all over that, and that is well above 250 million. Oh, yeah,
I'm telling you that them owners, that them people that own Dallas, they going to block that acquisition. Even though they ready, and I know that's what, you know, LeBron them setting up for. They want that franchise. They only going to bring on two, from what I understand. But soon, them people in Dallas, them owners in Dallas that bought that team, see, they live in Dallas. They gonna want to move that team.
This is when LeBron is gonna find out just how unchosen he is. You always talk about that moment when Michael Jackson, when they reminded Michael he was black.
Mm-hmm.
They finna remind LeBron, and not that LeBron has forgotten. Don't get it. Don't get it twisted. The one thing that I can't that I can never take away from him, from what he is, what he has always represented, has been a black man that loves a black woman, to take care of his black children, that loves his black lifestyle. He don't give a damn about what you think about it, and he gonna do it his way. I give him that credit, all the credit. But they're gonna remind him. Yeah, just how unchosen he is. Oh, they've been waiting to knock him down a peg or two. You know, when they use that kind of language, they gonna knock him down a peg or two. You hear me? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if Brian been moving funny recently, but his name been in some funny type situations lately. You don't usually hear Brian's name associated with that. You know, see, people don't remember. Y'all go back. Y'all remember when they reminded Michael who he was? Go back and watch the interview Michael did with the Ray-Ban sunglasses on. Michael was hot with the league. And he did that interview. Y'all remember? Not long after his father passed, they tried. They tried to make it act like he was in Atlantic City and all that.
Mm-hmm. Gambling debt, got his father erased, mob ties. Oh, they was coming with it.
You say Cosby wasn't even worth what NBC owed in debt. He couldn't afford the network. You don't think so? Okay. I'll do some research on it for you. You say ain't got no characters here. What? Them owners in Texas gonna say no. Yeah. Let's talk about it. Oh yeah. I'm down for that. I'll pull up in the mention for the conversation. We got it. We got to get ready for All-Star coming up. Okay. Let me get back on track. But KB, we'll get into this Cosby thing. This is the first time here. You say Cosby could never buy NBC.
If he couldn't, he wouldn't have never been associated with purchasing it.
So let me ask you a question. You think when these companies buy each other out and when people buy businesses that they pay off the debt or they assume the debt of the company that they purchased? I'm just wondering. You think you walk in there and I got to pay the debt off, or I assume that debt, and as long as I keep paying that note, me and you good? I'm just wondering how you let me know. But let me get back. Let me get back to this. So I want to make sure that we get all the way through, that we get through this conversation. I was telling y'all there's just one black female head coach left, Noelle Quinn in Seattle, and I listen. Every time, it's I check the sideline every time they pull Seattle up.
See if she there.
See if she there. That's the first. I don't check for no player. Noelle there. Okay, Noelle there. Okay, we still got one. The rest removed quietly, silenced professionally, dismissed without the resources or respect they earn. You gonna assume that debt? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's be clear. This ain't just a random drop off. This is a deliberate rollback, and history better not leave this part out. The Vanishing Act didn't happen in a vacuum. It came on the heels of the national DEI backlash. The kind that got louder after Trump's return to the political stage and the culture war drum beat picked back up. Right? Coaches like Tanisha Wright, Teaspoon, fired for losing games. They were fired while rebuilding entire franchises, dealing with injuries, still showing leadership. Now, Tanisha Wright, you know, I got my opinions there, but it looked a lot the same. But what did the media say? She underperformed. She wasn't a good fit. She was too emotional. Y'all know that coded language. It's the same script they run on black women for decades, in boardrooms, classrooms, and now the coaching boxes. So run the facts. 2022, half the league head coaches were black women. 2025, one. And every black woman coach that got let go, they were handed injury-plagued rosters, rebuilding situations, no time, no grace, no second chances. Now, how many white male coaches with similar or worse records got to stay the course, build a culture, develop young talent, or go be the goddamn GM after they failed as the coach?
Yeah, Miller twice.
Yeah, see, that's not just a disparity. That's a goddamn pattern, and it's been orchestrated to look normal. We're around here like, oh yeah, they recycling bullshit in front of us. See, here's the real kicker though. The media plays a role in this erasure too. When stories are shaped around fit and not facts, when leadership becomes a liability only when it's a black woman, that's not journalism, that's complicity. So, Leo, what does this systematic erasure, why does this erasure matter? And how are the media helping this vanish in plain sight strategy succeed without no accountability?
You know, the media, they sanitize bias. You know, terms like not fit, that's just some polite racism. And they shift the blame to personality instead of the power dynamics. It lets the institution off the hook while subtly reinforcing the stereotypes about black women, you know, being angry and unprepared. Is very telling how you never hear the front office was terrible, tired, out of order. And it always comes down to how, you know, the color of their skin and their gender. You know, they when it's a white male, oh goodness, they could do no wrong. You know, it had to be anything else but what they failed to do. You know, failed to provide, failed
in
to
the chat.
Give.
How many white males got fired last year? In the chat, y'all remind me. How many white male coaches in the WNBA got fired last year? Kirk got fired,
and then the guy from Connecticut, was it Connecticut? I think he.
Okay. So, but Kurt is working. Kurt is working.
And so is the guy from that got fired from Connecticut. He on the Minnesota staff, if I'm not mistaken.
Connecticut or Washington? I'm thinking about Washington. Washington was where
right. I'm sorry, Washington. It was
Washington because Connecticut is where Stephanie White wasn't she?
Right, she left.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Steph White left there.
Okay. Remember they fired the GM and the son.
Mm-hmm.
But the son is on the Minnesota staff.
FM, that is correct. Especially if you're in the same organization. If you get fired and got another job, that means you were transferred. If you don't, if you went from one WNBA team to another WNBA team, you were not fired, you were transferred. Great point. I love it. Gonna be using it from here on out.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
It all comes down to creating a winning program. Look at Dawn Staley. So here's what I'm going to say about Dawn Staley, young goat. I am looking at Dawn Staley. And I'm looking at the fact that Dawn Staley was allowed 9 years to get to her first championship. 9 years. And I'm looking at the fact that Dawn Staley said she goes in and she has to fight every year about being able to build her program, keep her autonomy, get the things that she needs in there. So that's what I'm talking about. More because of Dawn Staley, more black females should be giving the opportunity to have 9 years and the support and the resources to build their program. That's why. Because Dawn is the proof of if you leave a black woman alone and let her cook, dinner good every time. But see, when you get her in there, you want her to microwave something, that's when it come out all shaky. But if you let her cook, it's going to be fine. Let her cook. Oh, yeah. Dawn is fighting every day and twice on Sunday to change that. Every day. It's a big part of her fight. But Dawn is the reason why. Dawn is a walking piece of history. Carolyn Peck only got 1. Then Dawn came after Carolyn and went and got 3. If you let another one in here, what is she gonna do? Well, we let one in here, she got 1. We let another one in here, she got 3, and she ain't done. You let another one in here, she might get 5. Then what? See, then it looked different. There's no way we've been playing basketball this long. We've been leading the game in the charge and the stars this long, and we only got 2 black female coaches that have ever even cut a net down for a national championship. See, they don't want to talk about them conversations, Lil. They don't want to look at that. All these other people cutting down these nets. How? And Donnie cut down 3. You got to protect her at all costs.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want too many of them in here then. See what I'm saying? Let's talk about the code of language. How has the media helped soften the blow of this mass dismissal by framing these women with dog whistles like unqualified, too intense, or not a fit?
That's the thing. See, it's about changing the making a narrative that the public buys. A narrative you can brainwash with, a narrative that you can protect power with. And that's what it comes down to when you're talking about these coded statements and how everything is framed. You never hear coach didn't get it done, but you'll never hear front office was horrible. They don't know what they're doing. They got too many amateurs. There's no one in there that knows basketball or you've ever played the game at the kiddie level. They don't tell you all of that. They just always, whoever's the most visible, particularly black person out there, they're going to slam them every which way. Jeff totally trashed, and I thought it was unnecessary, Teaspoon and Kennedy Carter on their way out. And he did it subtly. He used this, and I forgot her name, whatever that reporter was. He leaked, that sneaky, snake-like, leaking stuff to the press, to gauge the temperature. Because even before Teaspoon was dismissed, it was a rumor she was going to be fired and all this kind of carrying on. And this is the thing they do to protect themselves and their image and always look like they're not mediocre. But a lot of the times, the person that's in that position is really mediocre. And they living off your gifts and talents anyway. So they pay the media. Remember that the media is an arm of the power structure. They are not, in this country, it was built on freedom of the press. Freedom ain't no free. They bought. And so they're going to put out whatever it is that's going to protect power. And that's what they do.
Yeah, that's the thing. Build your own league, but it does require a level of self-awareness most athletes don't possess. I wasn't going to respond to this, but I can't help myself. Will blacks calm down so they can go on cruises again? I mean this from the very bottom of my heart. Look, can you see me? Try us and see. Try us and see. Remember Alabama. All right. Back to our regular scheduled program. Back to our regular scheduled program. Try us and see. Let's talk about what they say when they notice the pattern. Oh yeah, Gamecocks fam. I'm going to, but I wasn't gonna say nothing. But try us and see. It's the only way you'll know. If you're wondering, that's the only way you'll know. If you think you can, try us and see. Remember Alabama though.
Mm-hmm.
We swimming in everything now. We swimming and shit. We doing shit y'all didn't know y'all ain't know we were doing. Now we swimming in everything now. Try us and see. Now let's talk about what they say when they notice the pattern. Because when he got turned up about disappearing black women head coaches, Commissioner Kathy Engelberg gave us the most polished non-answer in the book.
Then she don't.
We have 3 open coaching spots, so we certainly be looking for our owners to have a diverse pool of candidates. A pool, y'all, not a hire, not a plan, not a commitment, just a pool. That's a DEI rollback in real time. Soft language, no accountability, 0 urgency. Sorry, Icy. Sorry, my bad. But I wasn't gonna say nothing, but then why not? That one sentence tells you everything about where equity stands at today's they'll talk about it. They'll parade it around when it's convenient. But when it's time to act, it's crickets and closed doors. And let's cut the noise right now. This ain't about a lack of qualified black women. Let's run the roster. I see you'll be okay. Elite basketball mind, respected locker room leader, Brianne January. Christy Tolliver, coaching and playing simultaneously, already in NBA rooms. Latoya Sanders, seasoned, respected, and overlooked. Pokey Chapman, proven head coach experience at every level. Listen, I ain't gonna mess her up this time because she did her thing with Brazil. Don't just be. Oh goodness, here you go. There you go, FL. A walking and Vicky Johnson, playoff coach, player developer, culture builder. Lisa Leslie, walking championship legacy, she ain't been seriously considered by the Sparks, but I think she's got to build a different type of resume. With Lisa, I selfishly just don't want Lisa to coach. But you got seats open. You got championship DNA sitting right there, and no callbacks, no second interviews. That's not oversight. That's strategic exclusion. So when the league tell us they're looking at the pool, we're asking who's holding the lifeline, who's controlling the gate, and why do black women keep getting left on the deck? We gotta call it what it is. They're not hiring us because they don't want us leading the room. Bill, let's break down how diverse pool language gets weaponized to sound inclusive while keeping the power circle exactly the same.
You know what? Too much color, you know, in the room, and it's just the way they use the media, manipulating the public, you know, all of those things to keep us out of leadership, you know. And why? You know, we that big of a threat? You know, we're not the owners, you know. And that comes from the ideology that they only want us to be the labor for them to extract. And you know, no way for you to move up from being, you know, labor to leadership. And so this is why they do that. You know, they lie about progress, you know, but the numbers don't tell that type of story. To me, it's just gaslight. You know, diversity didn't fail. It's just the system failed diversity, and it's usually on purpose.
Y'all's video on black female coaches part. Thank you, Benji, baby. We appreciate that. We appreciate that. Y'all make sure y'all check it out. Like, comment, share. We never have enough time. We never have enough time for our conversations. But it was a couple questions that I wanted to ask before we get out of here. And y'all make sure y'all check out the video. And this is just the beginning of these type of conversations. But if Dawn Staley will, despite her record-breaking success in national titles, is still labeled as too much or bad for the game, what does that really say about the chances black women have to rise in coaching ranks in college or pro basketball?
You know, it says that the ceiling isn't performative, it's perception. If someone like Dawn Staley with that resume still gets framed as a problem, it ain't about wins, it's about control. You know, once again, the main thing in this society is control. And it means that black women can be excellent and at the same time still be seen as a threat to the system, which is somewhat odd. Mm-hmm. You know, but it is what, you know, it is what keeps that pipeline damaged, you know, and keeps them, you know, it's just that they want to see people that look like them. That's who they want to work with. Well, then stop trying to keep us from building anything. This is what burns me up. If you don't want us in your system, fine. Don't interrupt us building a system of our own. And they have done that.
Oh, you know why?
Always.
You know why?
They don't want no competition.
Nope, it ain't even that. You know, they over there just building their little stuff, and then they look back. And they're like, that, theirs look better than ours. I want that. Mm-hmm. That's cooler than ours.
Mm-hmm. Got more swag.
I want that. They need us. We the culture.
Yeah.
That's why. They be over there just a tinker. And what they done built, why you do that for? You didn't need that. You could have that. We didn't think about that. We know. But you needed us. But then if you don't need us, and that's the thing, I'm with you. You don't need to leave us alone. Let us alone. You go where you gonna be, we go where we gonna be, and the people that want to be together, be together. People that don't want to be together, don't be together. That's what the whole point of this place was supposed to be. Free country. Free to be where you want to be. See, y'all keep still trying to control people in the name of freedom. Get the hell out of here. And I ain't gonna get started. Okay, look, we got to bring this thing home. So, I want to flip the script a little bit and ask a question that doesn't get asked nearly enough, especially as consumers. Can fans bring a legal case around disparate impact in sports leadership and representation? Because if we're keeping it a buck, marginalized fans, especially Black women, ain't just on the sidelines. We're being systematically excluded from the rooms where decisions get made and the narratives get shaped. We show up, we buy the merch, we build the culture, we carry the league on our back. What we get in return? No real representation in the leadership. Media narrative erase our voices. Fan experiences that don't reflect who we are. Listen, I'm just gonna say it. As a fan, I'm not entertained by the man that can put the wheelbarrow on his chin. I don't know who he is, but I'm not. Y'all can keep that out of the halftime show. That is not a fan experience that's reflective of me. That ain't what I want to see. Okay, I don't, and that's not just disrespect. It's a structural problem. Now, legally speaking, there is precedent. There have been lawsuits in other industries around media discrimination, institutional exclusion, representation in public-facing entities. So the question becomes, can those frameworks apply to sports? Here's what we know. Fans are key stakeholders. We can agree on that. We shape the culture, influence revenue, build brand loyalty. And we've got the right to demand equity, not just in the coaching boxes, but in the entire ecosystem. That's my fix the ecosystem. That's what my twirl little finger means. Oh, yeah, fix the ecosystem. That means leadership access, representation and coverage, inclusion and engagement strategies. So can fans organize and apply legal pressure? I believe absolutely. But here's the real. Courts move slow, and cultural bias, it can be slippery. Legal action might create leverage, but this battle is gonna be one with organization, media literacy, and unapologetic public pressure. We need fan-led coalitions, targeted media accountability campaigns, direct advocacy with league leadership, narrative shifts that reclaim our power in the sports conversation. Because these leagues don't move unless the base shakes the building. So if we don't organize, they're gonna keep acting like we ain't in the room. And the erasure won't just stop at the coaches. It'll keep showing up in the stands, in the stories, and in the silence. Somebody already said they can't afford to even take their family to the game. So now you ain't even in the stands no more. The only way that you can be a part and engage in the league that you help hold up is by paying for the streaming service. Let's break this wide open. Last question before we get out of here. What does fan legal power actually look like, and how do we mobilize it into a real push for cultural and structural change in the dub and college?
Really through advocacy, because fans are stakeholders, and they can apply what is called collective pressure. And whether we do it through petitions or watchdog groups or legal coalition, fans can demand accountability from these leagues and these networks. And change can happen when people are paying attention, or they speak up together. So even this show right here, and there are other shows that are popping up where people are talking sports, politics, and bringing out information, that usually goes, kind of quiet. So it's a way that it can be done. It's just like how Target got boycotted, out of millions of dollars. Because the bottom line is the owner's not buying tickets, we are. Right. And when you have the power of the dollar, then those kind of things make sense. But we have to organize it in a way that it brings pressure. Like if we put a letter out where there's a petition, to see that we have more Black coaches in the WNBA, people got to come on through. They got to sign a petition. They got to push the league.
Ain't nothing worse than a Black person attitude at the gas station when you need them to sign a petition. What you want? What this about? What you need? I got to go. I'm trying to pump my gas. Man, we trying to change the world. Give me 20 seconds and here we talk. Oh, Leo, they don't want to sign no petition. They don't want to hear nothing about it. I got stuff to do. Move around. Move around with that petition.
Yeah, we got to
hear nothing about no petition.
Organize around people who want to see change.
Exactly.
And that's not everybody. Some people are
they all want to benefit from it though.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. But some people fear change and they like the status quo. I mean, I love watching the WNBA, but what attracted me back to the game, and I had been back and forth. Y'all see, I got my little sky cap on. When they hired Pokey Chapman, I was all in. Oh, this is gonna be,
I can't figure out why Pokey ain't got no job now.
And then she got gone. But when they and I kind of had left it alone for a while. But when they hired Teaspoon, Teaspoon was one of my favorite players. I was ecstatic enough to start spending my money. I'm buying merchandise. I'm going to the game. I paid $22 for a hot dog. Still pissed off about that. But and a drink.
$22.
But got a bobblehead. Really, it woke my engagement up. And then to see that happen to her, that crushed me. It really did, and that's why I still kind of talk about it because it's so disappointing. And then just see that go down the line to the point where we got one coach representing 70% of the league. That's so disingenuous. That's why I wanted to, start doing this show. Because I'm like, if I can't do anything about it, I could at least advocate and say something, and not remain silent.
So yeah, I know we got to get ready for these. Listen, I'm trying to see how long it's gonna take Asia to come off this board. We finna pick the All-Stars. I'm gonna be live for that. I am gonna mention once again before we get ready to get out of here. Those of y'all that do follow, Everybody Loves Juju 1-2. Her mom did pass last night. So those of y'all, she did reach out. I spoke to her. She said it was okay to let you all know. You want to reach out and show her some love, and, just let her know you support her. I definitely wanted to share that with those of y'all who do.
Sorry to hear that. Wow, I was just about to. I was gonna ask you. I was like, I ain't seen Juju in a minute. What happened to her?
So her mom did pass this last night, but she was there with her, and she's okay. And like she said, she's just trying to deal with it and taking it all in. But she has support around her, and she'll still be watching games and stuff. So those of y'all who follow, reach out. But I want to bring this one home, but not without naming exactly what this is, y'all. Right now, the WNBA is exposing a pattern that's been stitched into fabric for years. Black women coaches are being blocked at every turn. Fewer opportunities, biased media narratives, no margin for error, no support to grow. But this ain't just on front offices or sports networks, fans. This your moment too. You build the culture, you drive the numbers, you shape what gets covered and what gets called out. So here's the move. Send the emails. Call out the bias in every recap, podcast, headline. Sign the petitions. Keep the pressure consistent. Back the legal teams. Fund the fight. And show these institutions we're watching and we're mobilized. That's why Cess Talks Sports is working with BWISE PoliSports podcast to launch the Respect Her Coaching Equity Tracker. It'll be a transparency tool that exposes the disparities between Black women coaches they face across the league, from hiring to resources, treatment to coverage. As y'all hear stuff, share it with us so that we make sure that we get it on the tracker. It isn't just that data is proof of the pattern, and then the proof fuels the pressure. So we'll be bringing up a panel of Black women coaches, civil rights attorneys, and journalists who aren't scared to say the quiet parts out loud. So we not here just recapping. We trying to get to some solutions. And before we close, let's make one thing crystal clear. This isn't just about one coach. It's not just about one lawsuit. This is a legacy check. When the WNBA removed Nikki Blue and Teresa Weatherspoon, they didn't just cut ties with two coaches. They dismissed generations of Black women's leadership, visibility, and possibility. But here's what they forgot. We don't disappear. We don't play quiet. We document, we organize, and we respond. Next time on PoliSports Tea Time, don't miss Broken Skies. A no-holds-barred breakdown of what went wrong behind the scenes in Chicago. From Gabby Williams to former teammates, we're exposing how one of the league's worst-run franchises let down its players, its city, and the entire culture. Sports never just about the games we play. It's about the stories we tell and the fight for those who lead us. Keep pushing. Y'all keep organizing. Keep riding for the game we love. Political Lil, what you got before we get out of here?
Stay with us. Advocate with us. Be a part of what we're going to do in terms of making sure these issues are heard front and center. And thank you for your support and coming and hearing us out. And always check out the videos where we explain and put down the whole case. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. And y'all, come on back in just a few minutes for some All-Star, for the All-Star selection show with me and J Spot before the 8:00 game. Liberty and the Aces. Go get to the hoops. Gonna have a good time. Political Lil, I appreciate you. Until next time. Y'all.
Yo.
Stay tuned. Talk soon. Political Lil. Cess Talks Sports.